Nope. What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about a few different things that are all related, and I'll just start off with a concept called eat the frog. It might sound weird, like eat the frog. What are you talking about? Or you might have heard it before, but basically eating the frog is doing the hardest task. And usually when people talk about it, it's doing the hardest task first, or at least as soon as possible, so you can get it done and also free up your mental bandwidth or your mental space, right? So usually people talk about eating the frog, for example, at the beginning of your day, like basically one of the first things, if not the very first thing, like the big task that you need to clear up and accomplish to start your day, right? So like having some kind of deep work session on like a big project that you're working on, or getting sort of like the meat or the thing, the meat of what you need to accomplish, or maybe it's the thing that you've been avoiding, right? I'm probably going to say this quote a lot because I heard it from Chris Williamson's podcast not that long ago. I know he got it from somewhere else too, but it's basically like the magic you've been looking for lies in the work that you've been avoiding. So, simply translated, it's that thing that you keep avoiding because it's, seems hard or it's out of your comfort zone, you don't want to do it for whatever reason. It's probably the thing that you need to do, the thing you need to, instead of lean away from because it's uncomfortable, right? It's lean towards or lean into so you can grow, get out of your comfort zone, and just get it done. Like that's most of the time why we're holding ourselves back in life, no matter what the area is because we keep avoiding that task or that thing, and we don't eat the frog, right? And maybe it's not a task, right? Maybe it's having a hard conversation with someone, like you might have heard the term just rip off the Band-Aid. It's like you keep avoiding something, like a hard conversation with someone, and it might be tough on the relationship, or it might be really helpful, right? Like it might end that relationship, or maybe it'll help you to grow together, no matter who the relationship is with, like friend, family, someone you're dating, right? So having the hard conversation, it's probably one of the reasons, like having the hard task, we perceive it as hard, right? But it might not actually be hard. It's just we have to get it out of the way and do the thing that's uncomfortable, right? And it's funny because usually it ends up not being that bad, and we just blew it up into this big thing in our head. So maybe, not maybe, you do need to have the hard conversation, right? Because it's going to keep taking up this mental bandwidth, and you're going to feel stuck. Like you're not really going to be accomplishing much because you just keep in a cycle of overthinking about that and not being present in the moment during your days. So it's going to be harder for you to make the same amount of progress or any progress at all. So you really need to have that hard conversation so you can move forward, right? And then the reason that like freeing your mental bandwidth is so important is, you if you don't eat the frog and you don't have the hard conversation and you don't do the hard thing, like there's plenty of people that do that for however long, usually too long, or their whole life, and then they realize like, man, like I should have just gotten that thing out of the way. And you have to do it for you, right? Of course, be kind to other people, but if you can clear up the air here, this is what I was thinking was, I'm not sure what the number is exactly. You could look it up, but people have said, that like the average person has like, I don't know how many, like tens of thousands of thoughts per day, and you're probably thinking like, no, I don't, or maybe you agree, but the reason that some people might not think that that's true is that we have like these tens of thousands of thoughts per day is because a lot of them are habits or like part of our personality. Like we've done them something so much that it's almost second nature. Like we barely need to think about it. And sometimes that's actually that can be a good thing, and that can be actually a little bit alarming too, right? Like because imagine that you are not where you want to be in life, right? And you keep focusing on that, and you keep doing the same thing. I heard this from Joe Dispenza, right? You should definitely look him up if you haven't heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza yet. Basically, sometimes he talks about like let's say you wake up the same way every morning, maybe at the same time, you push the alarm button the same way, you roll out of bed the same way, you shower and brush your hair the same way, like you make your cup of coffee the same way, you talk to this person, do the same things over and over. And if you keep living that life, you keep feeding that life, and you're not feeding the one that you really want, right? So if you're already where you want to be, great. I mean, I think we should all always strive to grow more. So I think you could always be better. We could all always be better, right? I mean, that's one of the big points of life is to strive to be your best no matter what. And so if you think about not breaking those habits of, being yourself, like you're not going to change. You're not going to be a different person because you keep doing the same thing over and over. And funny enough, you probably heard the quote, I forget exactly how it goes. So I'm going to butcher it, but it's like doing the same thing over and over is the definition of insanity, right? Or doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Which checks out, right? I mean, so the reason I'm saying this is we have to reprogram ourselves and, eat the frog, have the hard conversation, clear up the mental bandwidth, because you're having all these thoughts per day, right? And some of them are habits, so you don't even realize that you're having the thoughts, right? Like a really great example is I've talked to a lot of successful guys who are like, like buff, and they're doing well in like their job, their career, their finances, right? So they've got everything else straightened out, and they're wondering why dating isn't going well for them. And they tell me about things like they see a girl and they do the same thing they always do, which causes them to not be able to create an opportunity for potential dating. Or like an easy example is like some guys, they see a girl and then they immediately look down, away. They do something where they don't even think about it because they do it so much, but they basically shut down the opportunity without even really thinking about it because they created that habit, which became second nature. So they reject themselves. Like they don't even find out if that situation might lead into something. They just reject themselves before even going into it. And you can really translate that into any other area of your life, right? Like the dating, the fitness, the business, the whatever it is. So that means you do have a ton of thoughts per day, like tens of thousands, and you have to free up that mental bandwidth. I mean, that's why some guys like I forget who it was, if it was the Amazon guy or the Facebook guy. I mean, one of them, or maybe Apple. It doesn't really matter, but they do funny things like wear the same T-shirt all the time. It's because they're reducing their decision making, which is also why it's helpful to write down what you're gonna do, like what you're gonna work on and accomplish for tomorrow, the night before, so you free up the decision making and you know what you're gonna do, so you actually have more mental bandwidth to think about other things. You freed it up, right? So you're able to actually grow. I think that's a good note to leave this off on. So really become self-aware of what you're doing so that you can consciously reprogram your mind in a way that creates the life that you really want to live. Basically, be that person that you want to be in the future. Act like them now. And then you're going to get those things. Because you have it now, you just can't see it. That's crazy. Because it's all of these opportunities that you want, all the things that you want, they're around you already. It's all your mindset that's holding you back. And that's the note I'll leave off on. You got this, bro.